Should we raise the state pension age to 75? We'll talk about that now. 02078622222 is the number. It's already due to rise to 68 by 2046, but one expert says that's not anywhere near fast enough and we've got to go further. Tom McPhail says people need to live on their savings or work until they are 75, at which point the state can come in for them. He says we won't be able to afford to give people decent pensions otherwise. So let's just show you how this has changed and why we're having this discussion. Come to the wall with me. I'm going to show you two figures. 42 and 82, and I'm wondering whether, does that mean anything to you? Would it help you if I put some dates in? 1850, 42, 2025, 82. And the answer is this: at 42, at that age, in 1850, you're an old man. That's the life expectancy. You die at 42. This year, you die at 82. That's the life expectancy. So we've got an extra 40 years, which should be good, but it causes problems with pensions. Here is the King's Fund's graph, the brilliant graph, showing the details. 1841, men lived to 40. And women always live a bit longer. 1845, they were living to 43. It then just bumps along through the Industrial Revolution, men living to 40 in 1867, women 46 a decade later. That's the First World War there, by the way, which knocked it back. 1918, men still only getting into their mid-40s. By the 50s, it starts to jump. 66 for men in 1952, 1998, 75 years old expectancy for men, and for women by 2000, 80 years old. And then ChatGPT will just give us the next 5 years, or 25 years, I should say. 82 is the expectancy this year. So that's how we get from 42 to 82 in just over a century and a half. Things can get in the way. Nuclear war would seriously put a dent in those numbers, as would another pandemic with a worse virus than COVID, as would cake. If we keep eating the amount of cake we're eating now and we get bigger and bigger, we're not going to live any longer. But at the moment, that graph is amazing, Lynn, because I'm starting to think we could be getting to an average life expectancy of 95.
That's why it shocks me when we say life is so bad. It can't be that bad if we're really living a lot longer.
Well, the last 10 years are awful.
Yeah, last 10 years. But if you look at the 1850 to now, you can see a huge jump. And this is why I'm not mad at the suggestion of increasing pension age to 75. And I think pensioners already get a lot of protection with the triple lock. There's not many policies that support young people. I would be happy with this.
You're not mad at it. You're not angry. Or
I'm not mad at it. Yeah, that's the term. You've got to keep up with the times.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not angry at it.
So you're happy with it?
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I thought you meant I'm not mad about it.
But I would put a caveat in there. From the ages of 45 to 50, I would want people to prove by a social responsibility credit. So let's say, for example, you hit 50, Jeremy, and you can prove that you've assisted from benefits 50 to 100 people into work, or maybe you have helped your children onto the property ladder, or you're one of the primary caregivers for childcare. If you can prove that, then you can draw down on your state pension earlier.
So state pension for people we like.
No, for people that is assisted, because we save money. Look at grandparents. We make a saving as the government if grandparents are helping with childcare costs, as opposed to giving free childcare.
All right, now you are a young person. You're not yet 35, so you are. You're arguing for your pension to be 40 years away.
I have to be realistic, because I would like to see more policy supporting young people as opposed to constantly looking out for people who, like you said, if we're living longer, we cannot afford for people to be 30 to 40 years relying on state pension.
Andy, what do you think?
Well, I think, well, first of all, by the way, as a historical fiction author, part of the reason the life expectancy was so low before was because child-infant death was so common that you were lucky to get to the age of 5.
Yeah, that's true. If you get to 10,
much lower.
You've got more of a chance.
As soon as they started looking after babies better, and after pregnant mums better, suddenly the life expectancy went.
Yeah, although it's still amazing. In 1900, I would, if I was a bloke in London, my life expectancy was 51. In 1900, isn't that incredible?
The thing that I would say to you is it doesn't worry you, the idea of having to wait at 40 years for your pension, because you're pretty certain you're not going to be doing that in a factory, you're not going to be working in a shop, you are a businesswoman, and so you're going to be able to have more control over your life. And I think that's what this would herald, that would really worry me, is that if you are a wealthy person, even if you're a middle-class comfy person, you can still make choices to retire at, say, 60. It's going to be the poorest people in society who are going to be expected to carry on working until they're doted.
How did the working class and some of the poorer in society manage? I think they were a lot better at saving. I think they were a lot better at putting money away. And this essentially says, we can't be as frivolous. To people that, like you said, my age, when we get to 75, we can't be as frivolous as we're being. We have to put money away, like the gentleman, I can't remember his name. We have to start relying on savings, investments.
Equivalent. It's a false equivalent.
How can we afford it then?
Because saying to people who are on lower incomes, you need to save more because that's what they did in the 40s, doesn't take into account the cost of living today in comparison to the
look at the stats.
Wage,
GDP is projected to be 50% higher. How can we afford 50% higher in a few years?
Isn't that, Andy, the really interesting thing for me listening to you two, you're both concerned that young people don't get a fair shake. And your thought is that if you say to young people you can't retire till 75, you're helping young people. But actually you say, no, wait a minute, I think you've got to leave it where it is, or it's unfair on those who are currently young.
Not necessarily helping, but my issue is whenever we talk about pension age, it's protect them with the triple lock, protect them with the winter fuel.
Because they
protect
vote.
Them
because
with,
they vote.
Fair enough, but again, young to middle-aged people often feel forgotten. So, OK, if you have to work a few more years, pensioners, I'm so sorry, but we have to also deal with not getting onto the property ladder, lower salaries. We have to be balanced in society.
Andy, where are you? Because there were people saying, look, the £300 winter fuel allowance, which virtually brought the government down when they cancelled it, they should pay that to 25-year-olds, not 75-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean, politics is part reason, but mostly emotion, isn't it? Let's face it. I mean, I was against bringing the winter fuel allowance back. I was pro removing it because I think we all across all ages have to make sacrifices, and I think that was one way that we could make the pension pot a little bit more affordable. I don't think saying you've got to wait until you're 75 to retire, though, is fair. What I think is that if you are an elderly person, particularly poor, in your dotage, then you should be able to spend a reasonable amount of your life not having to go to work every day, actually.
Not all are ill and frail. There's healthy ones that could do a bit of work.
OK, but then you're talking about saying some people can have the pension and some can't. Ian in Stirling, what do you think? Should these figures, life expectancy figures, are incredible, aren't they?
Jeremy, I've just been listening to your two panellists talking absolute rubbish.
Right, both of them.
Politicians tell us we're the sixth richest country in the world, yet we're one of the poorest pensions in Europe. Italy, for example, pay almost 19,000 euros.
Do they?
Do you know what the retirement age is in France?
I guess 62. It must be 62. I mean, but France is having a massive debt crisis now, as is Italy.
Yes.
And also, I don't know whether we're might be the sixth most indebted country. We're not. I don't know, we're the sixth richest. I don't know. But what's the solution, Ian? Do you knock the pension age back or not?
Jeremy, the situation is clear. Let's look at the subject you were talking about.
Right.
Immigrants. 3 meals a day in good hotels, £70 a week in their pocket, and we've got soldiers who fought for king and country on the streets.
I know, but that was, with the greatest respect, Ian, that was the last item, and we talk about it all the time. You can't just take all the money from the migrant hotels and give it to pensioners, because there are more pensioners than hotels. So we need to find a different way of getting the money.
Jeremy, answer this question then for your panel. Why is it that we have one of the poorest pensions in Europe?
Do we?
We talk about the youngsters.
Other countries have higher taxes.
Other countries have higher taxes. I don't know. If we do, what is the answer to that?
In other countries, have got chickens are coming home to roost. In other countries, as he said, that the debt and
France is about to have a government collapse over its debt.
And the weight on the economy. Listen, I don't believe that we should be more stingy with our pensions. I'm simply saying that making people wait an extra 40 years is draconian. Right. It's going to affect the poorest first. All right,
Ian, thanks so much. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting if tomorrow's story, we announced scientists have said we're now going to all live to be 120, right? I wonder what the reaction would be, because you'd be initially thinking, oh, that'd be fun, we'll have lots more holiday. You think, who's going to pay for that? If you stop working at 60, 70, how do you get another 50 years?
Well, isn't it a moot point as well? My first thought of this was like, in the world I'm looking around at now, human beings have got less and less to do. Like, so if you're going to keep people working till 75, doing what? Well, I find that quite frightening.
I'm planning to be an AI manager. I'm just going to manage lots of bots. I mean, that's the only job that's going to be left.
I do agree. We have to change our attitude when it comes to, the older generation then, and not try and push them out of work, try to encourage, make adaptations in the workplace. OK. Richard's in Newport. Richard, what do you think? Do we need to say pension, the earliest you can have the state pension is 75, and that's from today?
Well, can I just say, youngsters don't start work till they get to 25. I started at 15.
Good point.
Good point.
And what do you do in your career, Richard?
Motor mechanic for 5 years, and then I went virtually as a milkman.
Great. Are you still doing that now?
No, you wouldn't do that. You're 75.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
I finished after about 25 years at it, but I then went back to the motor trade for a bit, and then I went working for the Royal Mail parcels. I mean, that was another legwork. 2004, I had trouble with a left knee. That's caused now to me have trouble with my right hip. Yeah. If I'm going to be win 75, is the NHS going to climb up better than it is now? Because you're not going to be able to look after people to keep them in work. You'll have to keep them in work. The NHS is going to have to step up and get rid of this waiting list.
Have you had the hip or the knee done?
Neither done. 3 years waiting. I'll be 83 by they do the time the hip.
It's ridiculous.
And I've had trouble with the knee. I've had trouble with the knee since 2004.
I'm really sorry. That's a classic. That is very much on point as well, Richard. Thank you so much for your call. That unless we get the NHS working, we can't repair people to go back into work when they're 75. Thank you, Richard. Gina, one more call. Gina in London, hi.
Morning, hi.
What do you think of saying listen, I'm 60. If they announce everyone's got to wait till 75 for their pension as of today, would that bring the government down?
I think older people now might be able to do it, but the younger generation, I don't think they can, because everything's done for them. They're always tired, and I'm not having a go at the young people. It's not their fault, but everything's prepared for them.
Yeah.
Older people worked harder, they struggled, and not just that, but they worked locally. If you look at young people now, they have to travel to go to work. There's traffic,
That's why they're tired.
Stressful. In the old days, people walked to work. They came home. They had a better standard of living, even though it was probably slightly harder, but in one sense it was easier because quality of life was better. And I think something else. I think we need to educate younger people about private pension. I think private pension is the way, not state pension.
Well, saving maybe. Private pensions have been, in many ways, an absolute disaster for people. You got your money invested and then there's a crash just before you retire. Mm-hmm. We've had firms like Equitable Life go under. There's a lot of reasons not to want to go anywhere near private pensions. Why do you say young people are tired all the time, though? Do you think they can't work properly?
But they can't live on, you can't live on state pension. It's just not enough. Private, I think you need to tell young people, well, savings, but you don't get interest on savings. So you've either got to have lots of savings or private pension. But the state pension, it's nothing. It's pittance.
Thanks, Gina. Thanks so much. Very interesting discussion, whether or not we should start saying to people, look, and this would not be from today, obviously, but just basically warming people up to the idea that 75 at the earliest for your state pension. Later, it's the papers and everything else. Find out.